So it looks as if we're not going to be able to present any videos this morning. So let me just tell you a little story because I think this speaks to me so much. Last year when I was here, my husband had a collapsed lung. He got it doing exercise. He came into the hospital with a full pneumothorax on the right side. And he had flown all the way from South Carolina to here, thinking that he had just maybe bruised his rib. And when I saw him, he could barely breathe. He was gasping. So, of course, like a true man, he wasn't coming to the hospital because he didn't think there was really anything seriously wrong with him. So after I convinced him that he absolutely had to go to the doctor saw him and said, "You're going to the hospital right now." So he came here and, of course, was immediately admitted to the emergency room where they immediately put in a chest tube. And his color got a little bit better than blue. Well, after his chest tube didn't seem to alleviate the problem, he ended up spending a few days in cardiac intensive care, and he ended up coming to the operating room. So I can tell you a little bit about what it's like to be a patient's family member and how it feels to have someone who, for me, I've been living with for the last 45 years, who was active and vibrant and suddenly laying in front of me with blue lips and gasping every breath. It was a really unique, astonishing, kind of earth-shaking experience for me. And I knew he was coming to one of the best hospitals in the United States, maybe on earth. So I had little to fear. And this didn't necessarily mean that he was going to die. He only collapsed, after all, one side of his lung, right? But he ended up coming to surgery, and it was a success. His lung ended up expanding after a thoracoscopy and all kinds of medical interventions, including being on a chest tube for another at least week, and an ICU. So he got better. But the moments that he spent in surgery were probably the moments that I felt most in crisis, because the person I just spent most of my life with was in a situation that could have ended very badly. And at that moment, I realized the importance of every single one of you, because every day this happens, every day, over and over and over again, the same drama plays itself out. And you play such an important part in the experience of the family and in the experience of the patient. So I first want to thank you for the work that you did with my husband. He is running 3 miles 3 days a week, and he's very, very well. And I expect I'll have to tolerate him for another few years. But I want to thank you for that. And I want to thank you for every day that you provide this so special care during this so important time in people's lives. You're the people who rarely ever get seen. You're the ones behind the mask. You see them for 5 minutes, and during those 5 minutes, you're supposed to figure out what their physical limitations are, what their mental limitations are, what their allergies are. Make sure you have the right patient. Make sure that you are doing the right surgery. So many things in those 5 minutes. But I can tell you that the 5 minutes that you spend looking in someone's eyes, holding their hand, makes an enormous amount of difference, and they remember that. They may not know you, but they remember that, and they remember that feeling. So thank you all very much. So today, pardon me? Thank you so much. So today I also want to recognize some people that have very little to do with Peri-Op Nurses Week, but they're very important and special people. And they are our veterans. Yesterday was Veterans Day. How many of you are veterans? Would you stand so we can recognize you? Come on, come on. And thank you very much for your service. Also, I'm not sure if you know, but my time here is winding down. And I have 15 days at the end of today, but who's counting? But it has been a great pleasure to serve you again, and I want to recognize some of the people who have helped with my endeavors. So there have been so many people who have been helpful in getting our equipment fairs off the ground and so many other ways, our task forces. So can I just see those people who helped during one or all of our 11 equipment fairs? Because every one of them has coordinators or trainers who are on our staff. Well, those of you who are helping with our equipment fairs, our 11 equipment fairs, and all of the various units, stand up. We want to see who you were. Come on, we want to see who they were. No. So there had to be at least 33 people. Where are they? I want to know. All right, so you're shy. We won't go there. So then we also had 3 task forces. I don't know if you knew that, but we had a task force for the Zigo room, which is still progressing, and every time we meet, we do more little things. The goal of the Zigo room task force is to help with the organization, coordination, preparation, and to get more people involved so that we can create an orientation, get a list for the TAs so that they can help and organize the room better in preparation for the day's cases. So many things that we've done at the Zigo room. And since you don't want to stand up, can you raise your hand if you're on the Zigo room task force? Thank you very much. It's been a very hard-working team, and I really appreciate it. So the other one that we completed, and I didn't start this, it was just work that I completed when I came, was the craniotomy task force. Again, a show of hands for the craniotomy task force. Thank you all very much. And what we accomplished there is we created a complete outline of how to do a craniotomy, and then we created trainers, or I can't say we created them, trainers volunteered, and we created a simulation which would then be used for training people who had not done craniotomies before or who needed a refresher in South Pavilion. None of that goes away when I go away. You understand that? All of that is permanent work that stays here that your staff can use any time that you wish. And then we had an I team, and the I team met so that we could coordinate the transition to a single I team across campuses. So the Temple, East Pavilion, SRC, I team all worked together, and we had 6 pages of tasks that had to be accomplished before the I transition could take place. And I can't tell you how much work we did. It was amazing, and I didn't do any of it. All I did was chair that committee. So anyone who was on the I team, please raise your hand. And I want you to know it's a success. They're doing great. They're doing great. So I just wanted to let you know some of the work that had been done. All of it pretty amazing. So I have a little story I wanted to read you about you, actually, peri-op nurses. And it's not that we don't appreciate everybody. We appreciate the work that every single person does in our operating room. We know that everybody works hard. But everybody gets their recognition day, right? So this is for the nurses. I think the techs had theirs a couple of weeks ago, right? So this is a little story that I got out of a book that I kept for special occasions. We live in a world of ever-changing technology, ever-changing technique, ever-changing surgeon preferences. Change is the only constant. If you can't live with change on a moment-to-moment basis, don't even come here. Is that right? Yeah. And you have to like to work. The longest I have ever worked consecutively is 26 hours. It was a busy day and night. We are the makers and the shakers. As far as I can tell, even truck drivers may not work so long. However, when you start in an OR, you will find out that you are miraculous. Suddenly, you will have powers not endowed on the normal mortal. Extraordinary stamina, the ability to be in two places at the same time, and more will be expected of you. The ordinary calls of nature, such as bathroom breaks, lunch, and a drink of water, will be below you. At least that is what your surgeons will